Hello, we've got Marcus Allen Frishman. This is the Marcus Allen Frishman Show, and he's Marcus Allen Frishman, and I'm not. How are you?
Well, to be redundant, I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and you're not. But here I am live with Archie Luxury, the famous YouTube influencer, top in his class, expert in everything but what I'm an expert in. So how are you doing, Archie?
Hey, not too bad there, Marcus. I have come to a realization.
Okay. What is that?
So I am 53.
Mm-hmm.
And I turned 53 in October.
Uh-huh.
And I've realized something. I got to face semi-retirement because Marcus, once you're over 50, ageism is a thing. And I came from the tech industry. Tech is terrible now. Tech is terrible. It was, I backed the wrong horse, Marcus, because tech was, in the 90s, people would say, go tech, young man. You'll always have a job. Go tech. You'll always have a job.
They did say that, Archie. And, they were, well, not with the exception of the always, you had a good run. It was a good run.
And I got to tell you something, Marcus. It is a very, very vicious world we live in now. Costs of living, everything like that. But at the end of the day, Marcus, nobody gives a shit about your problems.
No, they don't.
The reality is if you need to have your own home, you need to have some investments for retirement. And realistically, you've got to look at semi-retiring. What I mean is, Marcus, is just slowing down to your own tune. You've got to play your own tune.
You're right, Archie.
The world does not owe you a living.
Last year, I said my goal is to have zero work income by January 1, 2006. And I believe I have achieved that. By closing my business, not taking new clients, and living off of a government retirement for life. It's actually a salary for life that increases every year, not to mention other certain allocations I get. But work income, which I have tried to diminish, it looks like it will be zero. And that was a goal. That was by choice. I'm turning away income, but with relation to work, because I don't want to work, Archie. I want to enjoy life, which I've always done. I've never been a workaholic. And maybe, Archie, you'll join my club, which is being a man of leisure. Dedicate time to nothing. Or when I say nothing, movies, the beach, music, things that are of hobby related, not work related, and are absolutely guaranteed to make no money.
Now, I must ask you, Marcus, I need some advice.
That's what I'm here for.
I have middle class guilt.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, I have guilt. I feel guilty not doing something. I had my father, he had a job and then he had a side hustle as an accountant, doing tax returns, and he was always working. Every Saturday was work, and Sunday was sort of half work at home. So I feel incredibly guilty not doing something. You see what I'm saying? The guilt.
I have a lower upper class situation rather than a middle class situation, but I have never had guilt. My father would have said that I was as strong as a horse, had a mind of Einstein, but my son is a lazy man. I have been lazy. So you need to, I don't know, maybe you need a 12-step program, but I'm not sure how to relieve you of your guilt, but I'm telling you, there's no, it's irrational. It's an irrational guilt because Archie Luxury has to focus on his happiness. Now, Archie, when I say you, other people, not me. I have no family. I have no children. I have no wife. I have no...
You have a sister.
Yes, but as I like to say, I was an only child. Now, even though I have a sister. But you have to think about yourself, and people will say, well, that's self-absorbed, but that's the only way you're going to be happy. But I will tell you, because you have a family, you can't do it in the extreme on steroids like I can. It also, I can't deviate from that because I don't have these distractions of family. So that will distract you always. And you have a duty and responsibility to focus on some other people besides yourself. But guess what? I don't. I have a dog, Mr. Bueller. He's on my new bed in the new beach pad, which I am at while I'm renting out my 12-room, 4-bedroom, and 3-bath home in the gated communities of northeastern Los Angeles City. I'm in.
Have you had any run-ins with the HOA?
The what?
The Homeowners Association.
Oh, my homeowners association is actually quite reasonable in my that of my home, where I'm renting an apartment to be near the beach. They are fabulous too. Well, they're fabulous. The homeowner association is just in control of themselves. They took me to court once and they lost. They were sorry about that. But
what did they take you to court for?
Oh, great story. So I built my house. It's an executive home. So I have a homeowners association that encompasses the front of my home, the side of my home, but not my backyard. Everything else is common property, and it has pools and other facilities in the community. And the home was designed as a courtyard home, meaning our homes are facing each other in a courtyard, not facing the street like most homes. And our garages are facing a street of garages, almost like an alley. And they were all built new in between 2004 and 2017. I ordered mine to order. I moved in, and there is a CC&R, you know what those are, requirement, and a homeowner requirement. You sign when you buy the home, promising that you will architecturally create some landscape in your backyard, plants, decking, whatever. I made the choice to do nothing with my backyard, essentially. And they took me to court, said I was in violation of the HOA agreement, requiring that not only do I do something with it, landscape it, but that I must have that approved by them. First, they tried to argue I actually did landscape it. I refuted that with their own attorney, who agreed I didn't. Then they took me to actual court, arguing that my refusal to landscape was a violation of the HOA and I must do it. I went into court representing myself, and I said, Your Honor, he says, did you sign this, Mr. Frishman? Absolutely. Did you understand it? Absolutely. Did you know their requirement was that within 6 months you had to do something, at least submit a plan? Absolutely. Did you do any of that? Absolutely not. Why not? I changed my mind unilaterally because the term and condition on the contract, the CC&Rs in the escrow, was inherently unfair, Your Honor. And I'd like to talk to you about the inherently unfair statute that will negate, not statute, case law, pardon me, that will negate any term and condition of any contract. Repeat, any term and condition of any contract when one party in the contract later says, I've changed my mind for no reason. I don't like it. And I can get away with it. Well, you better introduce all of that. So I did. And the judge said, yes, I see the basis for this. It was inherently unfair. I said, Your Honor, if it was a health and safety reason, sure, I have to be compelled. I have to be punished. But I choose not to landscape. And no one is going to force me to do this unless there's a health and safety issue, even though they didn't add those words in the contract. He agreed with me. And then I guess some HOA, some homeowners association, damaged him once. So he awarded me punitive damages of $1,250, which I didn't ask for. So I won, and that's how it goes. In my previous association, in my hometown of Calabasas, California, 9 miles north of Malibu, where I grew up, high school, middle school, eventually lived in my parents' homes, 2 homes there. And my multiple rentals, rental property, and a home of my own that I owned. When I lived there, I took over the board. I got rid of everyone. I then installed a team of board members, and then exited very quickly after the right people took over, because I certainly didn't want to be on the board. But you have to know how to handle these boards. Don't let them push you. So they've left me alone there, and they're actually quite reasonable.
Have you landscaped since that time?
I have never landscaped. I have done.
So what do you have, lawn or is it wild?
It's a combo. It's natural lawn and wild. And I have all the amenities of the community. And really, it's designed for me to get a little sun every day. And it's designed for my dog, who doesn't like to go out there without me anyway. And I have carpeted it. It's very strange, but I have put indoor-outdoor carpeting covering what my backyard is small. It must be about 1,200 square feet in a complete box with walls, because it's an executive courtyard home. It has a low value for a mid-level home compared to mid-level homes in Los Angeles, but it's in a very upscale neighborhood, 13 gated communities in my area. And it's just lovely. It's just lovely. But I'm renting it out, and I'm going to be here at my near beach pad, enjoying the summer that will be coming.
I got a super chat. Let me just grab this super chat. Yankee Doodle, $10. $10. I have also built a life of leisure. I'm 52 and spend my days aimlessly wandering around Manhattan, from coffee shop to cafe to taking long walks up and down Madison Avenue. I also joined a luxury gym.
He's in New York City. I love New York City. Now, I summered in Yale and Harvard, both universities. And in the summer, I would travel. When I was at Harvard, my girlfriend was Eartha Sue Campbell. And when I was at Yale, my girlfriend was Nina Rote Jr., not to be confused with her mother, Nina Rote Sr. And we would travel to New York for the weekends. And I used to stay, I got the faculty rate, but I was not a faculty member, I was a student at the Ritz-Carlton, just adjacent to the park, a very narrow building, straight up, with a polo lounge, they called. And I remember going to the Plaza Hotel in my pajamas in that main dining room on the first floor. There was a Four Seasons, I think, near the United Nations. I'm hoping getting this right. And I was treated there by my girlfriend's father. So I New York weekend a lot. Took the club car on the train. It was something called the club car. Sat next to William F. Buckley one day. Accidentally took his pen. Had to return it. It was a cross pen. And if you know who William F. Buckley is, good for you. If you don't, you better look it up. I love Manhattan. I have a picture in the other room hanging of Nina Rote Jr. and I sitting at Marigold's. Now, I want to know, a guy that knows Manhattan better than me, is this little coffee shop, pastry place called Marigold's, is it still there? I ordered a chocolate mousse, and she and I did a picture. And if you'll stand, I'm going to show you my New York picture. I'm going to bring it here. Hold on.
Sure. Hey guys, you are live on the Marcus Allen Frishman show.
There she is, Nina Rote Jr. and moi having chocolate mousse at Marigold's Cafe, and I believe it might have been on Madison Avenue. We're gonna. That I
a good-looking guy. What happened to her? Can I ask you that?
Oh, Nina Rote. Why in the world did I not marry Nina? Now, Nina Rote Jr.'s father is Kyle Rote, adopted father. Her father was some sort of football star. Her brother, Kyle Rote Jr., is a football star. I don't follow sports. The mother was a socialite housewife that created gold mining venture that I invested in as probably my only investment really in one of my few investments when I was in college. And I met her. Let me tell you the story of Nina Rote. This story.
How did the investment go? Don't leave me hanging. How did the investment?
I invested $100 with my friend Travis, and it went bust. So let me tell you about what's more important. Let me tell you about how I met her. So I'm at Yale University, and I want to do a punchline. I dated so many women at Yale, 9 of them at the same time, that someone reported me. They reported me. Who was it? It was somebody from the executive summer program people. I don't know who they were. I was on the transfer program. They were recruiting me to move from University of Southern California to stay at Yale. And I, of course, didn't stay. I was there for a short time, took some semesters, and went back to USC to graduate. But I met Nina. Now, Nina, how did I meet her? She was trying to make a telephone call at Silliman College. Silliman College is not a college. It's what they call their residences. Residences are called colleges, and it's architecturally a square build. A square, it goes from block to block, has a courtyard. It has a dining room. It has a library. It has a master, whatever the title is, that lives there, a professor, and we lived there. She was trying to make a phone call on the public phone at Silliman College, which is just outside the gates of Yale. Right across the street is the university. And I said, can I help you with that? Because I had a Pac Bell telephone credit card to call my parents or whoever. She was trying to call her father. And I went up to her and I said, let me help you with that. She didn't know how to do it. However we did it, we punched in a code, we punched in our card number, and it would allow us to make a call on a Pac Bell telephone credit card. And I helped her. And she eventually told me her father, not Kyle Rote Sr., her adopted father, that she assumed the name of, her natural father, her mother's first husband, whose name is escaping me, but she now uses that name. It begins with a W. He was Western Regional Vice President of AT&T. At the time, they had 2 vice presidents, as she explained this to me. Her father was the vice president of the phone company. There was one company. This is pre the breakup. It was Ma Bell. We called it Ma Bell. It was Pac Bell, eventually Pacific Bell. AT&T essentially, and I guess AT&T turned into Pac Bell. Anyway, the point is, she didn't know how to make a telephone call. I found that ironic. We got to know each other very fast, and when we were making out, literally on the courtyard of Silliman College at Yale, someone saw it and said, "Isn't that the guy that has the other 8 girlfriends?" So the master. It is a title, I can't complete it, but the master of the building, who was a professor, calls me in, and he says he wishes me to submit their names. I did. He interviewed each one of them. He called me back a few days later and said, look, all of these women like you, and they all know about each other. And I said, yes, they do, sir. But how can I help? Am I going to get in trouble for making out with Nina? And we just kissed on the courtyard. Who's so backwards that this would be a problem? This is about, he said to me something very similar that was said much later by a hotel general manager to me when somebody was philandering with me at the hotel. He said essentially, not in the same words, but the same, well, they don't have trouble with love. They have trouble with other negative male-female interactions. So he gave me a pass. And Nina and I had a lovely affair. She would come to Los Angeles and they'd rent a beach house, and her mother would take her to the Dinah Shore. Well, it's all coming back to me. The Dinah Shore Golf Pageant in Palm Springs, which is a 2-hour ride from LA. And I would take Nina and I would go to Palm Springs quite frequently every time she was in town. And I reached out to Nina a couple of years ago during the COVID, and I said, I'd like to reestablish contact. I did that with her email. I had been in touch with her mother 2 or 3 times a year all these years. And then her mother stopped answering the phone. Her mother was in her 90s at this point now, and I can't reach her mother. So I emailed Nina, and Nina is sadly not responding. Her mother last said she was in a bad relationship, had gotten separated or divorced, it's not clear in my mind, and has a child, a young child, so she waited very late in life to be married. And if you look up Kyle Rote's funeral on YouTube, Nina Rote will come up as the second or third speaker in the lineup of the Carl Rote funeral. And when you see her, she doesn't look much different. Her father died a few years ago, and she has the grace and elegance of, frankly, a European royal or aristocrat. And you'd have to see it and hear her to experience this. But she's on this wonderful YouTube doing a eulogy to her father. And I say, again, she's the second or third or fourth speaker.
Hang on, I got to catch up on these super chats. Phoenician Cedar, $2. Math, I wholeheartedly admire your litigious nature.
Let me emphasize, I pride myself in saying I'm non-litigious, but let me emphasize, I have only been litigious in response to litigiousness against me. So my response is quite aggressive. You hit me and I will go after you with a nuclear weapon. That's the way you do it. That's the Trump philosophy. If you've read his book.
Black Cat 997, $2. Math, did you join the Skull and Bones frat?
Okay, let's talk about that. Skull and Bones. So I have a picture. It would take too long to find.
Sorry, we just lost sound, Math. I don't know what you just pressed. We just speak. No, we've lost sound. What did you just do? You have just lost sound, Math. Math, we've lost sound. I don't understand. No sound, nothing. I don't know what you just tapped. You tapped something and it fell out, Math. Okay, something happened, Math. We've lost the sound. Do you want to log out and log back in? Log out and okay, so there we go, guys. I'll just run just waiting for Math to come back there. What an interesting story. This is a story that you'd never pick up anyone else. Here we go. He's coming back. He entered, but he fell out. Where's he gone? Just wait for him to come back. There's only one Math. There's only ever one Math. And here we go. Hello?
Archie, I'm getting this notice on my cell phone when I now connect here at Facebook on my iMac computer. And I touched it and it made it go away and we disconnected. I don't know what that's
okay.
about.
Just put that down. Put it down. Okay, so you're telling the story. Let's hear the story. So
where was I?
You're talking about that girl. So you tried to read
Skull and Bones. We have the super chat.
Skull and Bones.
Okay. So I went in I have a picture which I can't retrieve quickly, but I have it. I could find it fairly quickly, but not good enough for this show.
Maybe for next week.
Next week. So it's a picture of a fountain that looks degraded by age and weathering in the backyard of Skull and Bones. How did I get that picture? A young lady and I, whose name's escaping me now, but I'm in communication with her to this day. She was not a girlfriend, just a friend at Yale. And we went to the Skull and Bones door. Now, the door of the Skull and Bones at the time, and I'm going to try to tell you the year, it was just pre-1991. The Skull and Bones door was a vault. Imagine a vault door with a big combination lock as your front door. I vowed I'd always have a front door like that. Then I'd go back, get a house, and have a vault door as a front door. It was metal, at least it looked metal on the outside, and it had a combo lock right in the middle and a handle so you could open it if you got the combo right. Very dramatic. And of course, the door was locked, and we pounded on it. there may have been a bell or something. I'm sure we made enough noise. We couldn't get anyone's attention. We assumed no one was there. And indeed, that's likely the case. We snuck around the back. The gate was open. It was a gate. We noticed this fountain, a very lackluster backyard in this magnificent, essentially home, which rides in an area of the fraternities, and like a fraternity row right near the university. And there was a tower, a self-standing round tower that had spiral staircases going all the way up. And I would say it might have gone up equivalent of 3 floors in my memory. So this young lady and I, started to climb this staircase. I'm trying to remember her name. I can't. And then bats started to flutter. Now, how they got in there, how they got out of there when we didn't have the door open, I don't know. But bats fluttered downward out the door that we opened through this spiral staircase. We got scared. We left. We said, we better get out of here. We're trespassing, essentially, and in a very important place on the university. So we left. And I have a picture of this moment. I don't believe she's in this picture. I believe it's just this fountain. I just took a picture of it. Always carried a camera. And that's my entire experience. However, I will tell you, at Harvard, I went to Harvard. I was invited to take over the WASP dinner club. We know what the word WASP means, right? Now, this was, remember, the late 80s, very late, 89, 88, 87, something like that. And this was a cool thing. However, me being the guy I am, the personality I am, I would never join or have a WASP dinner club, even in those days. So my first act as president of the WASP dinner club was to create it for lunch, because I always felt lunch was the better meal for me. So we called it the WASP Lunch Club. Of course, we set it for 12 noon, even though we told everyone it was the 11:30 club. So no one would show up. You see, if they did, they would go away realizing we weren't there. It was just a thing. And I nominated a black man named Richard to be my vice president. I have a picture of him. He easily accessible as well. Lost touch of him, but I have a fabulous picture of Richard. Richard, every day in the summer heat of Harvard, would wear a finely crisp polo shirt, which I would wear, a long sleeve button down, but he would add the element of a tie. And he would be in long pants. I was always in shorts. And that was his daily wear, a polo shirt with a tie in the summer heat and humidity of Harvard in Boston. And I made him my vice president. It was to make fun of the nonsense of a WASP dinner club, because I'm doing it for fun. I do think, though, the regular president for the regular semester would have taken the title more seriously, if you know what I mean, in a negative way. And I'm not time wouldn't have made that negative for me. Time did not make. I didn't evolve. Back then, it was just who would go to a WASP dinner club. I never liked the promotion of the races. Any race, no race should benefit for becoming a race. That nonsense is just terrible. Yeah.
So tell me this: these fraternities, we don't really have fraternities in Australia. I can only remember fraternities from Porky's movies.
Oh,
right. Were you in many fraternities?
I was not, but I was president. I made myself president and formed what was called the University of Southern California, USC, Junior Bohemian Secret Society. And we had 22 members that were male. And we had every male member had to nominate 3 women to be members. Yep. So we had 3 times the women. And it was a social club. Oh, and you can imagine, because of the secrecy component, we would leak things to the student paper and talk about it at student events and activities. And we were accused of being homophobic. One of my board members was gay. We were accused of being Nazis. I was once labeled a Nazi in writing by this nutcase named Friedman, a Jewish man. And when I showed up to confront him at his classroom, I remember saying to this acute Nazi accuser, I said, well, what basis would you have called me a Nazi? Oh, I know what you do with that kind of a club. I said, are you aware that I'm Jewish and my mother and father were Jewish? Well, the guy was speechless. I said, you know, he's a nutcase. You just make these things up in your head. And then I had gunshots through my window because the Black Student Union misunderstood us. But my vice president there was black. Pardon me, I don't think he was a vice president, but he was my roommate, Mario Chappelle. You know, he defended me before the Black Student Union, as I recall. And I'm still in touch with good old Mario. And you know, I survived all of that. But I'm president for life of the Junior Bohemian Secret Society, which is a takeoff of the Bohemian Grove in San Francisco, which I'm sure you know all the elites in America still go to. All the presidents, except the current one, attends that facility regularly. Has quite a history. Look it up, the Bohemian Grove. Now, I got a letter from the lawyer of the Bohemian Grove advising me that I should cease and desist using the Bohemian title in my secret society, and I dared him to sue us. He never did. We never heard from him again. So it was quite a letter to him, I'll tell you that. And so no, I have never been in a fraternity. All my buddies were, but my group was similar to a fraternity, except we were more gentlemanly. We did Glitz and Glitter Weekend in New York. We had Blue Collar Day at the bowling alley. We had, my friends now say when we do it, we could call it Drip and Drool Weekend because we're all getting older.
Yes, I see what you're saying there. It's an incredible experience you've had there. What happened? Such a shame. Why didn't that girl turn out for such greatness? She had good parents. She came from money.
You mean Nina Roque? Nina Roque. Well, I'm not sure she. I don't know. Look, we lost track of her. Although I was in touch with her mother for years, she became a baker, as I understand it, in a foreign country. She had a bakery there. Gosh almighty. Belgium? Not Belgium. I'm sorry. The Danish people live where? I'm having a brain contusion right now. Anyway, whatever. She did something with regard to baking. Which was just fabulous, you know. And she's quite a lady. I advise you to look up the father's funeral and cue it in at her speech. She is when she takes that stage and she presents herself, you can see it. Nina Roque.
So tell me, Marcus, you've had a great life. You've achieved so much. Do you have any regrets? Or you?
Well, you know, Archie, you asked me that last week. The only regrets I really have is not pursuing a bit more in a career that could have been in the private sector more significant. Because I certainly had the abilities, but I have chosen to limit it because I don't like work. So I have limited, certain paths that I could have had down that would have changed my destiny. But that all that means is I would have been greater than I presently am, and that's okay too. So I'm very comfortable with. But you asked, I do regret. I do regret not pursuing a number of things that I had opportunities to. I had a path with a contract at Paramount Studios as a child to become a star. I didn't do it. I had a path to become a trained Olympian by the National Federation of figure skaters. I turned that down. I had a third path with Richard Lugar to be a committee consultant on the Foreign Relations Committee, which
you also turned down several heiresses and billionaire daughters.
Yes, I did. I did that too. So that all lines up. But you know, the key is happiness.
Do you ever wish you had a family, like had a couple of kids and a wife and a station wagon out front?
I have never desired to have children. And my last set of girlfriends, I have always indicated I was open-minded to having a single child, naturally or by adoption, if they would choose it. But I was not promoting it. So it wasn't as though, you know, I felt when you're in a relationship, it takes two to tango, and I have deferred to that. But I had several past girlfriends that potentially didn't want children. But the last girlfriend I had that wanted to have children and absolutely wanted one child, I ended that relationship in 1993. I was with her for 14 years. Her name was Belinda. And since then, I've had that continuous back-to-back long-term relationships, and only one indicated the possibility of children, and we never talked about it much other than my dislike of the idea. I've never liked children.
Yes.
I presume you can learn to love a child if he's yours, but I've actually disliked encounters with almost all children that I meet in public.
Sure, I completely understand.
I don't, you know, what can I tell you? However, a dog or an animal, it will stop me in my tracks in any public space, and it always has. I was just driving down the street the other day, and I saw these two beautiful deer. I didn't drive by them. I got out of the car. I didn't have my camera. I did have my cell phone, but I didn't take it with me as I stepped out. And I thought, well, I want a cell phone. I'm a kind of a perfectionist. I have a real camera, Archie. I didn't take a picture, but these beautiful animals were just grazing on the side of the road. And then I realized I was parked illegally and I would be hit in this if I didn't move quickly. But I love animals. And where I'm at now in this rural near beach community, there are 3 mountain lions within walking distance. You can see them with a binocular in the daytime. And I have deers on the other side of the mountain, which you can get to with a car or a bike. I will tell you one set of animals that I don't like, coyotes, because they're animal killers, they're dog killers. And there's a pack of them in the massive park about 3 blocks from here that has no lights. And at night, it's absolute darkness. And instead of being able to go there and enjoy the meteor shower, which is occurring now, I can't because it's too dangerous. It's dark. I mean, I wouldn't be able to even shoot them. I wouldn't be able to spray them with my mace. I wouldn't be able to, my dog would be attacked, you know, and they're killers. Yeah. Those nasty, scrawny coyotes can take down a big dog because they know how to kill. A big dog may know how to fight, but a little scrawny coyote is going to take your dog down.
Yes. Tell me this, Math. How much money do you think you need in America to just retire and do fuck all?
Depends where you live, Archie. America is so diverse in its economic budgeting for an individual. If you lived in Tennessee or Ohio, that number is shockingly low. But I live in California. If you live in New York City, this guy from New York City would understand this. He may be the only place in the country where the rent used to be higher than Los Angeles. I think New York has had a decline in its rental market. But you need to be able to pay your rent. You need to be able to buy food. You need to be able to have the basics. And if you're wanting to not work in Los Angeles or Southern California, you need about $12,000 to $15,000 a month.
Sorry, you need how much? 15,000. That's a lot of money.
Well, or you're going to be living. Well, okay. I'm talking about an individual or a couple, or maybe 2 or 3 people. Your biggest expense is housing. You can jam 3 people into a little apartment, so you have to have an apartment. That apartment is going to be 2 or 3 bedrooms. There's very few one bedrooms. There are no studio apartments like there are in New York City. They almost don't exist. And you need to pay that. That's a lot of money. And you need to buy gas. Gas in California is $6. I don't know. I don't know how people do it. I suspect they're not having independent lives. I suspect they are living in groups in California and Los Angeles. But you asked, what would you need? And I know what you need to have a basic, decent life. And you can't get that without a good job. Now, the good news is I looked at a job board the other day, more than the other day, a few weeks ago, but it comes to mind now. And I was shocked. Instead of seeing in Los Angeles, because I've been a consultant since 2011 or so, 10 or 11. Prior to that, I was a high-ranking government, high-paid employee at the highest level of pay and status. And one of the things I've noticed at the job board a few weeks or a couple months ago, whenever it was, I was shocked. Instead of looking at, because of the time lapse of my last look, instead of seeing jobs at 120, 150, 160,000, those same jobs I am seeing at $250, $300, and $400,000 being paid in Los Angeles for those executive or sub-executive, if that's what you want to call it, independent, working for someone else as an executive. In the private sector, the pay range is, all of them are over 200,000, and that's the low level, doubling to 400 I would say the average is approaching $300,000 a year. That's good salary, and that's punching a time clock. You're going in, you're leaving, you're doing your job and going home. You're not an owner of a business. That's another.
We got a super chat here. I got to grab a next super chat. One Up trading $2. We should combine the streams. Thank you, One Up. And we got Yankee Doodle $2. Math, how do you spend your average day? There we go from Yankee Doodle.
My average day has not changed much since I stopped doing routine consulting. I'm still cleaning up some client work. All that means is I'm spending less time doing it and less. But my day begins at 10:25 in the morning when my alarm goes off. It has since 2009 or 10, when I gave up my government job. I didn't have to get into my government job until about 9 or 10 or 11 in the morning. If I was flying to my office, which I did daily, I got in at 11 o'clock. I had to take a flight to Sacramento or San Diego. I was statewide official, so I went everywhere. And I controlled my own schedule, so I would generally start at lunch and end at 5:30, quitting time, as I called it. But since I'm doing consulting, I have averaged 15 or 25 hours a week of work, 3 months of vacation a year. Obviously, those clients, I've never had more than 12 clients. I've never had less than 6. And they pay substantially, an upfront fee to try and help, and then another fee if successful. And I unwound it last year. So my schedule, the only thing that has changed about my schedule is less work. So I wake up at 10:25. Maybe I struggle out of the bed immediately. Maybe I listen to a little talk radio while my dog is there next to me. He wants a little attention, cuddling. And then we get up. This is a no girlfriend scenario, I should point out. And then we get up and I put on my robe and I take him to pee. He needs to pee. And then, of course, I need to pee. And then I prepare food for him. And then I take my shower. And that preparation for me is an hour and 15 minutes to prepare to exit the house. That gives him enough time, an hour after eating, to now need to pee again. So we'll do another pee or a medium-sized walk. On the days I'm not rushing anywhere, I do a very long walk with my dog, 2 hours. On the days I'm rushing, the walk is 30 minutes. Nowadays, I'm doing more 2-hour walks, and we're going to the park, and we're coming back. And then it's about 1 o'clock, and I head off to lunch. I eat 14 meals out a week, including snacks. I go out for snacks. I don't keep any food in the house, and that's been my protocol for as long as I can remember my life. So I get back from lunch, depending if I was with a client, between 3 and 4. If I'm not with a client, almost precisely at 2:30, 3 o'clock. And I'm with my dog. And then I do stuff. I watch movies. I listen to music. I talk to people on the phone. I answer emails. I do my stuff. And then I relax a bit before dinner. Then I go to dinner. Dinner is my short meal for me. It's an hour. I'm in and out of dinner fast if there's no client. And then I'm back home, and I'm a big lover of streaming and movies, and I watch those. Now, today I went out to lunch with a friend who will join me. People will join me around dinner or movies. I like to go to movies or events. I take pictures. Tomorrow on the weekend, I'll be strolling in a very old neighborhood taking photos with my Leica camera. But I have a dog. So this dog needs to not see me away from home more than 4 or 5 hours. So I don't stay away from home. I sleep at midnight, give or take an hour. And that's it. Very simple life. I go to the beach, I go to the pool, and I go to the jacuzzi, and I soak my foot in a foot spa. In the Philippines, my life is very different. 3 months a year in the Philippines from 2003 to 2022, when I stopped returning because my girlfriend had come to America. My life there is much different. I'm surrounded by people and drivers and an assistant and a housekeeper live in, as opposed to the one that comes and goes here. And I'm with my partner over the years. That's been the scenario. And I do travel. I like going to the island of Boracay and so forth. That's my life.
That sounds pretty damn amazing, Marcus. And you
Sir Walter,
also...
Somebody's mentioning Sir Walter. Sir Walter was my previous dog. He died 2011. He's been replaced by Mr. Bueller. My previous dog before Walter, 15 years, was Raleigh. And my previous dog before Raleigh, named after Sir Walter Raleigh, of course, who's known in history as being a gentleman. That's all he's known for. And prior to that was my dog Lucky. So that's 4 dogs, and I had a cat named Senator. I'm not old enough to have 5 dogs, for the record.
Tell me this. It's very, very interesting to hear from you. You really seem to have your wits about you. I don't think there's anything you really lust for or want. You've had beautiful cars, beautiful. How important is TV in your life? You mentioned that you love TV.
I love TV. I love it because I love it now more than ever. When I got a smart TV, I fell in love with television. I was so tired of the limited television and flicking of the shows. And I think I was streaming before streaming became streaming, because I was on YouTube at the very beginning. I had a MySpace before Facebook existed. MySpace was so much better than Facebook ever was. So I've always been technology prepared. But there are things that are important to me in a day. A gentleman should smell good. Here's an example of a fine cologne. Now, when do I put on cologne? I put it on before I sleep so I can smell myself. Thank you. God bless America. And it's important to have fine pens, a good fountain pen. This is a Sailor fountain pen.
I love Sailor. That's a Japanese brand.
Oh, it's fat and it writes so crisp. And then, of course, the Visconti. This is made out of bronze. It's called the Bronze Age. That's what the name of it is. It's made out of volcanic rock and some sort of emolument to make it, stick together with bronze parts. And it's a ballpoint pen. They do make it in a fountain pen, and I have that too. And I keep things of a gentleman. I keep by me. Every man should have a good pen and a nice smelling cologne. And what can I tell you? There's not much to life than that. And, make sure you have a good AAA card in case your car breaks.
Yes, it's very, very interesting. You have a great life, really.
Now, I just moved. I told you I moved from the 12-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 3-bath home that I had built in 2004 that I lived at until recently and will soon rent out. I just brought my stereo from there. I obviously had a mover move me in all the big stuff, but the mover came so fast. There were so many things I couldn't pack, like clothing. I had to go back for that. I went back for little knickknacks, some paperworks. And now I, as of yesterday, have my 1970s, 1980s hi-fi analog stereo system with a fairly new Tannoy speakers. I wouldn't say I'm an audiophile because I'm not crazy, and I don't play records, but I stream on that. You can stream on your old stereo system if you get a device that links it in, and you can use CDs. I still have plenty. So I didn't hook it up. It's in the other room in my den, which looks like an English library, I should say, with lots of leather and distinguished people's. I love pictures of people. You know, I have oil paintings all over of people. Old style oil painting. I just love that. My place here is quite simple. This apartment is quite simple. It's 5 rooms, 2 bedrooms, and a bathroom, 1 bathroom. And Mr. Bueller and I live here because we call it the near beach pad because it's not actually on the beach, and we don't want anyone to call us saying we have a beach. You know, I wish I was on the sand, but you know, to be on the sand in Los Angeles. Oh my God! To rent, you're talking $10 to $80 million to be on the beach, 3 miles of my residence right now. That's what you would need to have one of these pads on the sand, and that's not even Malibu. If we go a little south, now we're getting into big money. That's a Malibu because then it would have a community. I live in a rural community. But if we go a little south in California, just a few miles, about 20, you'll have 25 maybe. You'll have Malibu, and the prices are. You could rent an 800 square foot apartment there, or a room essentially at that square footage, and it would start at around 6,000 or 8,000 a month, and it's not going to be nice. It's going to be very rundown, very old. Not updated, just some old place that some retired guy left because he couldn't afford to live there anymore. Now he's making some income renting it. You wanted something nice in Malibu. We're talking rentals of 15, 20,000.
Somewhere where the vampires, you could entertain the vampire girls from the movie. Are you having a reunion? Is there going to be a Malibu Beach vampire reunion video?
You know, Creighton Francis died of a heart attack. He was the producer and the director and the writer. He was my dear friend that forced me into that movie. And it's the worst movie ever. I understand, though, it is played, Archie. It is played in some bad movie gathering where they play bad movies in San Diego that meets once every year or two at some convention. Might be related to something called Rotten Tomatoes, if you know what that is.
That's a website. That's a website that rates movies.
They do some gathering somewhere. And my movie has been rated one of the worst. Some people think the worst of all. Of course,
do you really think you need 15,000 a month to survive?
Well, Archie, you're talking about never working again and living without income. You can, all right, let me rephrase the question and come up with a different answer. What would it take to live in Los Angeles in a very basic way to meet minimal needs? I'm going to throw out a number, really basic, minimal, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, $6,000 to $8,000 a month. You're going to get a schlocky little apartment in a bad neighborhood. You're going to have a car that's, going to be secondhand because your expenses are electric and gas in your home and your residence. I presume you're not buying, you're renting. You need money for Los Angeles. Unless there's a big unless that ends all of that. You have a partner or a family member or a friend or roommates. I know a lot of grown men my age. Right now, 3 come into mind. The more I think, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6 that have roommates. And therefore, their rent is $2,000 a month, $2,500,
Oh, they have roommates.
Yes,
Fuck.
and each of them are paying that amount
Because they for financial reasons.
Yes, because they're renting a house or they're renting a large apartment. In fact, there's something going on. I told you I was looking for an apartment by the beach, so I was looking at dumpy place. I mean, I was in shock. I knew I had to come up with a larger budget, but that's all right. It worked. But as I'm looking, there was a trend going on. I would kept walking in, and they don't tell you. They scam you. These big corporations that own these apartment buildings, here's what they've done. Many of them. I mean, I would have to ask on the phone, is this, and there's a name for it. Please forgive me, but I forget the technical name, but here's what it is. So they've taken an apartment. You have one door entering the apartment, but now they've placed walls and locked doors. They've shut down all the, so you don't have a bed. It's hard to explain. You don't have a den. You don't have a living room. You have 3 bedrooms now, equal in size. One of them has two of them have a shared kitchen, and the largest one has a inbuilt kitchen, a mini kitchen. They're sharing the same entry hallway. They're sharing the same bathroom. They're sharing the same major kitchen, and one of them has a patio. And they've created 3 rooms, and the corporation, because it's all corporately owned stuff, the corporation is renting the 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms out to 3 and 4 and 5 people by redesigning the wall layouts of the inside of the unit. They are then charging market rate for the space that they used to get for the whole apartment. So now, yeah, that's how the rents get down to $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month, $2,800 a month, because they're getting that times 3 for 1 unit. That's the official way it works. And house is the same thing.
We got a super chat from Yankee Doodle, $2. He's been a great support tonight. $2. What would be your daily car if money wasn't an issue? And I think you said, correct me if you're wrong, you said the best car to have would be a BMW, but if you've got a little bit more, a Porsche.
Well, I have the car I want at any price point. It's a Porsche 911. And I have the year range I like. It's the best. It's the best, better than the brand new model. It's the one before the new model. But I let's stretch it and be fun about it. I suppose if I had to buy another car, I would buy the 2-door Bentley convertible in powder blue. I kind of know what I would buy. And the color. I'm a red car guy, but boy, they make a powder blue that could stop traffic in New York City. I mean, it's gorgeous. And of course, I'm not a used car buyer. I knew that car's, I think, $250,000 or something like that. That would be the car.
Very interesting.
But I wouldn't own that car over my vehicle. So let's go to a man that has no cars and an unlimited budget. For me, I'm a sports car guy. So I would buy a Porsche, and I want to tell you why. The 911 or the Cayman. Not the Boxer. I had a Boxer once. I will tell you why. It's because it's a street car. I use my car. I don't drive a car. My weekend car is my old, Beamer that I own. The car I drive it every day, and I use it. And you want a car that works. You want a car that's not crazy expensive to repair. The Bentley does not work by design, and it is crazy expensive to repair. You might say, well, a Porsche isn't that expensive. They have independent repair facilities that are a lot less money. You have to have a budget, but it's more reasonable. It's not crazy. It's also not an exotic car like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, which is not, for many reasons I won't list here, is not the proper car to be driving around New York City or Los Angeles on a daily routine basis. That's a fun car, a weekend car. A Porsche you can use, and you can drive it every day, and you can throw the McDonald's wrappers on the rubber mats on the floor, and they'll clean it up when you wash the car at the end of the week. That's how I go. That's how I roll.
Marcus, that's time for the show. Thank you so much for coming today. I want to thank our super chatters. We had Yankee Doodle, Phoenician Cedar, Black Cat 997, One Up Trading, Yankee Doodle. We had a great show today, Marcus. It was fun. It was vibrant, and it was
It was fun and vibrant. And I'm Marcus Allen Frishman, and you're not. Archie, what happened?
I don't know. I'm going to run the outro and see you next week.
Farewell, friend.
Just hang on there. I'll talk to you at the end.